4 o'clock. We'll call the Muskegon County Board of Commissioners full board meeting to order. And is Pastor Tim Cross on the call?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Pastor Cross, if you would do the invocation, please.
Sure. Father, we thank you for our county. We thank you for this beautiful place that we've got to live. I thank you for the commissioners as well as others that have sacrificed and that love this county. And Father, we thank you for Muskegon County. Father, your word says that we're to pray for the peace and the prosperity of the place that we live. So Father, we pray for the order of heaven. We pray for the order of the peace of God, and that you would prosper our county. You would bless our county. So Father, we pray for that. And we pray as Jesus taught us to pray, your kingdom, your leadership, your influence come to our county. We want the reign of righteousness, peace, and joy that your kingdom is. We pray that your kingdom would come and that, Father, your will would be done. You have a purpose for our county. So, Father, I pray that your will would be done in this county. And I pray for our county commissioners and our administration that, Father, that you would grant them wisdom and really clarity, Father, in the midst of this troubled time. Father, as we see things taking place in our state and taking place in our nation, Father, I just pray for the wisdom of our county commissioners as they have decisions to make and have to see what needs to be done. I pray that you would give them clarity in the things that are before them, and that you would grant them the wisdom to move forward accurately in such a way that it would bring peace and prosperity to this county. Father, and I ask this in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 You're up, Bob. You're muted, Bob.
Commissioner Sear, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Certainly. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Linda, I think you're in charge today for the roll calls.
Yes, sir. Doug Brown,
Here, City of Muskegon.
Commissioner Sear,
Here, Twin Lake, Michigan.
Commissioner Hubby Wright,
Here, City of Muskegon.
Commissioner Hughes,
Here, Muskegon Township.
Commissioner Laring,
Here, Muskegon County.
Vice Chair Nash,
Here, City of Muskegon.
Commissioner Pago,
Here, Muskegon County.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Here, Muskegon County Hall of Justice.
Chairman Skolnick.
Here, City of Norton Shores. Thank you, Linda. The next item is the approval of the agenda. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Nash, second by Hubby Wright. Is there any comments? Anything on the agenda? If not, I'll need a roll call for that too, Linda.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Sear,
Yes.
Commissioner Hubby Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago,
No, I actually, the minutes were not reflected for request. Sorry about that. One of my constituents messaged me and she's requested that the minutes reflected her public comment, apparently the last couple of meetings, and it has not been done. To include, let me see here. She requested several times be entered into the minutes at her request that Zuckerberg Thomas More Society and Amistad Project, and she wants the minutes amended for that. And since she can't do that, she asked me to do that for her. And I did notice that was not reflected in the minutes.
Okay.
Okay,
continue the roll call.
We're on the agenda, not the minutes.
Oh. I thought this said approval of agenda.
Yeah, we're approving the agenda, not the minutes.
Sorry.
Okay, Linda, you can keep going.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick.
Yes. Okay. The next item is the approval of the minutes of April 6, 2021. I need a motion for that.
Oh,
Support.
Okay, we have, who made the motion? It says boardroom. I don't know who that was.
Nash.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion to approve the minutes of April 6th. Melinda, do you have something you'd like to say again?
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm just a step ahead, I guess. Yes, so the minutes have not reflected, apparently, a constituent of mine, Miss Karen Palmer, with her public comment. She's requested apparently at the last couple of meetings that the minutes were amended, and that hasn't happened with what I just stated previously.
Okay,
Do we normally include the minutes?
No.
The public comments
No.
in the agenda or in the minutes? I didn't know we included those.
No, we don't.
Yeah, normally the minutes only include items that were decided on. but
Yeah,
corporate
that's what I
counsel
thought
did-
too.
Right.
That's approval of the minutes of our meeting, not the public comments. Thank you.
Right, correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
okay. So we had a motion, it's been supported. Linda, another roll call.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago,
No.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Did you say roll again?
Wilkins.
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes,
yes, and 1 no.
okay, thank you, Linda. The next item is a presentation by Director of Public Health, Kathy Moore. Kathy?
I am here and I did share some slides. Oh, awesome. Thank
There you go.
Great. This is the chart of the positive cases in Muskegon County. If you notice the super surge in mid-November and then a resurgence just recently, it appears that the cases are stabilizing and we may even be on a downward trend, but it's really too early to tell. You can see we could be right at the peak, right in the middle, or it could still go up. So, but it looks like it's moving downward or stabilized. Next. This again is the positivity rate that's very popular. Our current positivity rate is actually it's 22.6 as of today. Again, I like to say that the positivity rate is a reflection of testing strategy, not of incidents in the community. I use as an example the chart in the lower right that shows even though Muskegon County's positivity rate is 22.8, our actual number of well, this is based on the test. The number of tests is based on 502 tests, daily tests. And if you look at Newaygo County, so all 4 of these counties are contiguous to Muskegon County, Newaygo, Oceana in the north, Kennon, Ottawa in the south. So I know a lot of people compare us with Kent County and Ottawa County as well. Again, their population is higher and their number or percentage per population is higher. Next. This is just a summary of a recent April 11th rapid antigen testing event that was coordinated by locally here, our MAISD. Actually, after a recommendation or a couple of concerns for some of the superintendents, MDHHS actually collaborated with them and staffed the testing site. I use this kind of as an example. There were 519 rapid antigen tests conducted that day. That could be more representative of our general population compared to the PCR test. With that, there was a 12% positivity rate just from the antigen test. The PCR tests were 152, and 61 of those were positive. But remember that the individuals who took the PCR were either those that were experiencing symptoms, had been a close contact of a known positive, and or tested positive on the antigen test. Next. The average number of daily cases. I believe that this is a better comparison and a better reflection of how we fare compared to other counties, if we think it's necessary to compare ourselves to other counties. This is based on the data of 414. It has actually gotten much better for all of us across the, well, at least for us in West Michigan. I can't speak to East Michigan. But the daily cases per 100,000 population, Muskegon County is basically 48 cases compared to Kent County of 53, Newaygo 78, Ottawa or Oceana 73, and Ottawa 63. Next. The overall hospitalizations, or the percentage of hospital beds occupied by COVID-19 patients for the state of Michigan, is 19.3. For the Grand Rapids region, our West Michigan area, is 13.4. If we drill in specifically for Mercy Health Hospital, they have, this is as of yesterday, nope, 2 days ago, 59 patients. I did see a report today that had 69 or 68 patients in the hospital today. And I think a similar number with ventilation and ICU. No deaths have been reported recently, although we have recorded 6 deaths to date in the month of April. Next. This is just a really quick cumulative rate of deaths by age group, and it's just here to show that the prevalence of severe illness and fatal illness is really closely associated with age groups. Next. This is a state map that shows the variants, the number of variants in identified in each county in Michigan. We believe, or we're pretty sure there are more variants, but these are random samples of specimen and then sequenced for the variant, and or these are cases where we have identified that an individual tested positive, even though they may have been vaccinated. We alert the state to that, and the state will also run that specimen if they can identify it, and look for a variant as well. Next. Good news on the forefront related to vaccination. Muskegon County, of the individuals in Muskegon County age 75 and over, 76.3% have been received the initial, and 70% completed. Age group 65 to 74, 77% received the initial vaccination, 67 or 68% completed. Our records show that individuals in that age group will return for their second dose, and so we're feeling really good about those percentages. The number of age 50 through 64 continues to increase, but not at the level of the older age groups. If you recall, if you look at positive cases prior to vaccination, this is the age group with the highest number of confirmed cases. And then the other age groups are steadily climbing, but not at the rate, of course, of the 65 and over. Next. Total again, Muskegon County population, age 16 and above, 44.6% have received the first dose and 31.7% fully vaccinated. And those are the vaccinations that were chosen. This slide was actually meant to have check boxes. It just doesn't convert well. If we just look at our dashboard to see where we are in Muskegon County, if you exclude positivity rate, based on our number of cases per day, we are in the concerning range. Our epidemic spread puts us in the moderate risk level. The number of COVID deaths, because it is over 5, puts us in the low risk, but not the no risk. And our vaccine coverage puts us in the low risk, but not the no risk. So if we weighed all of those the same, we are still in the moderate risk of exposure, meaning, you know, it could get better, it could get worse. So we're saying stay the course, continue to practice safety precautions and safety measures. And it's a novel virus, so it's really hard to tell either way how this is going to go. I believe that's it.
Right. I thank you, Kathy. Does anyone have any questions for Kathy?
Yes, Mr. Chair, may I?
Yes, you may.
Kathy, do you know rapid antigen test? I guess I hadn't heard that term. Can you explain that really quickly, what an antigen is, I guess, or not?
I'm not the science. I'm not the science.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Kathy, could that be the test that you get the results in 15 minutes or so?
Yes, it is the test that you can get results very rapidly, but you can also for a PCR test. It takes a little longer. The antigen test, again, they're looking for antigens, which is not the same, and it's not considered a laboratory confirmed test like the PCR test. I just don't know, you know, the components of it.
Okay. Does anyone else have any? I've got a couple. And Kathy, I'm not. One of these may be uncomfortable. You know, I have people asking me all the time about metrics, and what I'm interpreting that is like, when do we decide, you know, we can lift whatever rules that we have. Somebody mentioned to me that if the rate, the positivity rate was less than 3%. Have you heard that?
That is something they used last year, even before vaccinations were available. It's, you know, we really have to put the onus of responsibility back on the individuals, and everybody needs to do, you know, what they need to do to keep themselves, their family, their loved ones, their friends, and community as safe as possible. There are, of course, individuals who are genetically predisposed, and they may experience a more severe consequence. We need a way for them to self-identify and for us to make concessions accordingly. But I don't think there's just a number that we can flip the switch or either way, on or off. There will be individuals who, no matter what the state is, still needs to take more precautions than other individuals.
Okay. And then another comment that keeps popping up revolves around the testing of student athletes. I mean, I keep hearing, well, maybe they'll have 10 or 20 games, so they get tested 10 or 20 times. Then each one of those gets entered into the database. Is that true?
No, that's absolutely not true, because if they were entered into the database, our positivity rate would be less than 1%. So wouldn't that be lovely? No, only those individuals who test positive on the antigen test are referred for further PCR tests. So those rates, those weekly tests are not included in our positivity rate. And I referenced that on one of the slides with some of the words. So if you guys get a copy of the slide, it'll tell you that our denominator for the positivity rate is skewed because we do not include all of the tests within the county.
Okay, so the student testing for athletics is not skewing the results one way or the other.
Absolutely not. But I am asking the schools to actually look at their antigen test rate. And that is more a better reflection of their school population. And most of the schools test positivity rate for the antigen tests are well below 3%. And on occasion, we will have a school or two that goes beyond that 5%. And we look at that school individually and make a recommendation. It's the same as restaurants. We've had a couple of restaurants that have voluntarily closed based on our recommendation. And that's because their employees were in such close quarters. They could not separate or be 6 feet apart, and they were all exposed. But there are some places that, they can really maintain those distances and continue to practice those safety measures.
Okay, I got just one comment and then one last question, I'll be done. I just want to say, you said the rate in Muskegon County was about 48 per 100,000.
The number of new cases.
Yeah, I think
yes.
that was the number, which was lower than the surrounding counties.
Absolutely.
Okay, so congratulations on that. Then the last one, and I have gotten I'm getting more email and text than I'd like, to be honest with you, but I'm getting them and I'm trying to respond to what I can respond to. I want to talk about Florida, because I keep hearing Florida is wide open, nobody's sick. The restaurants are fine, concerts, parties, whatever. What's the deal on that? Is their rate lower than ours? I looked at the population of Florida, it's about 50% larger than Michigan.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell, Bob, because people calculate rates differently and people read and interpret it all differently. I can tell you that I have a classmate that graduated from Muskegon Heights, and he works for a public health department in Florida, but somehow he's connected with the social media here. And he said, Kathy, why are people saying that Muskegon residents are bringing back the virus from Florida? He says, I think Muskegon residents brought the virus to Florida. So I don't know why we chose Florida, and why we think because people travel to Florida, their risk exposure is higher. It is really your behavior, no matter whether you went out of the state or not. It has nothing to do with the location. There is community spread throughout the whole United States now. So it doesn't matter where someone travels. When this was first introduced in last year at this time, there were high rates in Washington, in Florida, in New York. And one specialist from one of the famous colleges, basically said this is post-traumatic syndrome when people are still reiterating positivity rates and specific locations for travel. It's really our behavior and how we keep ourselves safe that matters.
Okay. Kathy, thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. Everybody appreciates it. Okay, moving on, we have time now for public comment on an agenda item. If you'd like to speak, you can, if you're on a desktop or laptop or an iPad, there should be a place to say raise your hand. If you're on a phone, push *6. And for some reason, my screen changed and all I can see is the agenda and Kathy. I don't know what happened there.
Bob, we had 3, 4 hands up.
I see. Yeah, Don Munsky. Don, unmute.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, there we go. Hi, I'm Don Munsky. I live at 1078 Brookway Court in Norton Shores. And I'd like to comment on 2 agenda items. One is the invocation, the other is the chairman's report / committee liaison reports. On the invocation, I'd like to thank the pastor for his spiritual leadership. While there are many residents of Muskegon that are Christian, there are some that are not. As this is a public meeting for the county of Muskegon, I encourage anyone giving the invocation to consider how their words can help mend our community to walk in love and harmony with each other. Some residents might feel left out by praying in the name of Jesus. We do not want anyone in our diverse community to feel persecuted with words, even though it is not the intent of the person offering the invocation. On the chairman's report, item B is parliamentary procedure and board rules. And I want to point out that it does not appear the commission is following the rules as set out. Did I use up all my time?
No, keep going.
Okay. Sorry about that. In the rules of the Muskegon County Commission approved on January 5th, Section 2, Resolution Proclamations and Tribute, Time for Action. The resolutions, proclamations, and tribute requests submitted by commissioners or the public will not be acted upon by the Board of Commissioners at the time presented unless time sensitive. I urge the board to follow the rules of the commission whenever a commissioner or a public member of the public presents a motion. And this came up at the committee that I read the minutes from, and Commissioner Laring, Nash, and Sear, I thank them for their comments as reflected in the Ways and Means Committee of April 13th. Commissioner Laring encouraged the public participation at the county commission meetings. Commissioner Nash for his encouragement to provide the board advance notice, and Commissioner Sear, who encouraged all of the board members to read the resolution and the attached documentation. Would I request the board and all committees to include any resolution in the agenda packet available on the county's website? This allows the public time to review.
Mr. Munsky, you have 10 seconds. Okay. All right, his time is up. Next up is, and I can't see, the names disappeared again.
Phone number 7292.
Yes, thank you. Tammy Barnhart, Muskegon County resident. I also have a question about 10 Bravo, which is the parliamentary procedures and board rules. My question is, I see that that's an item that you're going to discuss, but I don't understand how you're going to discuss it or what parts of it you're going to discuss, because I don't see any follow-up information in the rest of the agenda report. So if you could please let us know what that's about. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, who's next? Mark?
Yes, I'm looking. It's Karen Palmer.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, this is Karen Palmer in Cedar Creek Township. I was the one who contacted Melinda about the agenda item of the minutes. Last time we had a full board meeting, I requested some specific items in my commentary that they be included in the minutes. I even spelled them out. They were not included in the minutes. I recognize that sometimes it is hard to include specifics in meeting minutes for a variety of reasons, but I asked for those specifically for a reason. One being, we have not heard from our county clerk, and she does not seem to appear in the board commission meetings. So I don't know what she has to say in answer to this. How is she going to hear from me unless they're in the minutes? The specifics matter in this particular case. If I cannot get an answer, I want the public to know I'm asking. I'm not asking for, quote, clarified grant money. I'm asking, is Zuckerberg grant money being used? How is it being used? In the elections process. Maricopa County, Arizona is one example. It's a very, very big deal. So I wanted to know, is Zuckerberg money used here in Muskegon County? And if so, how? Those things need to be included in the meeting minutes, because when they are not, the public is forced to ask why they're not including it in the meeting minutes. I spelled out Amistad Project, AMISTAD, Thomas More Society, and Mark Zuckerberg. And I requested those be placed in the minutes so that we know that the county clerk has access to the question in a full, clear standard, and that she has an opportunity to give public notice, which is not, I checked, yet on the website. The public deserves an answer to that question, and that is why I asked. Thank you for my time.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Yes.
Yes, people need to state their residence, their city or township before they speak. Thank you. According to our board rules. She did? Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mark, again, I can't see who's on.
Margaret Haynes.
Okay, Mrs. Haynes, Ms. Haynes?
Yes, thank you. Margot Haynes. And I'm a little bit confused about whether this constitutes an agenda item, but the report on public health that was just presented leaves a couple of questions that are really urgent for us up in the Montague area. And one of them would, and I'm from 5150 Brookwood Circle, Montague, Michigan. Sorry about that. Always forget that. One of the questions being, who is enforcing the following of public health regulations? I'm always told that it's the Muskegon Health Department, but I didn't hear anything about enforcement in the report. And the second concern and question I have is, where is the Department of Public Health standing right now on their position about vaccine passports, and whether those would be helpful to companies and schools in the area? And I would like to hear from the Department of Public Health on that at a future meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Haynes.
No one else that's completed.
Okay. All right, then we'll move on to the committee and board reports. First one is community development, and that would be Commissioner Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Community Development Strategic Planning Committee met on April 15th, 2021. It was recommended, and I move CDSP 21/0409, 10, and 11. I have 3 items that I'm making a recommendation to the board.
Support.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion that's been supported. Is there any comment or discussion on these 3 items? If not, Linda, roll call, please.
Commissioner Javi Wright,
Yes.
on all.
Yes on all.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes on 9 and 10, no on 11.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes on 9, yes on 10, and no on 11.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes, on all.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes on all.
Chairman Skolnick.
Yes on all.
Okay, that is 9 yes, 0 no on 9. 9 yes, 0 no on 10, 7 yes, 2 no on 11.
Okay, thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That is the completion of the summary sheet of the committee report.
Thank you, Chairman Brown. The next committee is the Transportation Committee, chaired by the ever popular Doug Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Skolnick. The Transportation Committee met on April 15th, 2021, and it was recommended I move TR 21/04-17 and TR 21/04-18.
Support.
Okay, we have two items. There's been a motion, it's been supported. Is there any discussion on these? And for those in the public that are listening, it appears that we're doing these quickly. They've already been discussed at a full committee meeting with all the documentation. So items.
Mr. Chair, I do have a question on item 18. If
yes, you may.
Bob Lukens or Mr. Kuhn is on.
Go ahead. Bob, are you here? Bob Lukens?
Yeah.
Mark, is Bob Lukens on?
Yes, he is here. Bob is here.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Okay, here I am. Bob Lukens,
So
Community Development Director.
All right, thank you. So my question is that agreeing to this, does this lock the county into a 6-year plan with MATS? Or if they move to a separate authority, can they still do that if this is agreed upon?
Yeah, this is just for the discussions, Commissioner. So it's initial discussions to see if it would be feasible. It'll be a discussion between MATS and the county and the city of Muskegon. And if the governance of MATS were to change, we still would be able to participate in, in this type of grant.
But once we get this ball rolling, my concern is once we get this ball rolling, it's awful hard to stop. So my concern is that we get halfway through the authority and well into this process that the county can't separate itself from the bus system. And we're going to have to keep the bus system for potentially 6, 8, 10 years under county management. So I'm just wondering, does this lock us into the bus? Go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't believe so, but I can check on that for you. Mr. Coons unfortunately is unavailable this afternoon, but I can look into that and, get back to you ASAP.
Okay.
Mr. Laring, I don't think this, Mark, you want to correct me if I'm wrong, but this doesn't lock us into anything. Anything that would involve money or anything like that would have to come back for another vote.
Right, we have a few more times before this is finalized, and that's going to be over several months, if not a year, before we are at least presented with the grant. Obviously through this process, Commissioner Laring, I want to make sure that it does not lock us in. The idea is all assets will be turned over to the authority if that's the desire of the board.
And I think that was brought up. Thank you, Mark, and that was brought up during the meeting. But thank you for confirming.
Commissioner Pago?
Yes, so I asked this question last week at the Transportation Committee meeting, and I can't find in my notes right now, but Mr. Coons answered in such a way that led me to believe that whoever receives the grant would have to maintain that for a period of 6 years. So that is my concern. And he didn't have a specific 100% definitive answer with that, shall that be the county or not? But whoever is the grant holder is going to be responsible. So if we start out being the grant holder, that I think would mean us.
Okay, Mark, could you check on that, please?
Yeah.
And we're not anywhere near this? It's just a discussion at this point. It could take a year or two, probably to get it grant.
I just wanted to clarify that Mr. Coons did give kind of an answer last week.
Okay,
Thank you
All
for
right.
that. Yes.
Linda, roll call, please.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes on 17, no on 18.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes on 17, I'm going to pass on 18.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes on 17, no on 18.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes on 17, no on 18.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes on both.
Commissioner Laring on 18.
I'm going to vote no on 18.
Chairman Skolnick.
Yes on all.
That's 9 yes, 0 no on 17. 5 yes, 4 no on 18.
Okay. Moving on to the Ways and Means Committee meeting. Chairman of the committee is Kim Seer. Chairman Seer, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Ways and Means Committee met on April 13th, 2021. It was recommended, and I move on items WM 21/04-41, -43, and -44.
Support.
All right, we have a motion that's been supported. Are there any comments on any?
Comments or otherwise? Hearing none, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Laring,
Yeah, I'm looking at the old agendas. So yes on 41, 43, and 44.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Pago,
A yes on 41, no on 43, yes on 44.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes on all. Those items pass and.
Commissioner
Mr.
Hovey Wright,
Oh, sorry.
Yes on all.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes on all.
Chairman Skolnick.
Yes on all.
9 yes, 0 no on 41, 8 yes, 1 no on 43, 9 yes, 0 no on 44.
And those three items pass then, and Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Seer. Moving on to the chairman's report and committee liaison reports. I have two appointments to the Solid Waste Planning Committee, terms through December 31st, 2022. The first appointment is Dave Kendrick in the public slot, and the second one is David Baker in the planning slot. Both of these individuals applied. David Kendrick was a former director of solid waste at the Muskegon site. David Baker is, I'm not sure what his official title is, but I believe he runs the water system for the city of Muskegon.
Motion to approve both of those appointments.
Second.
Okay, these are two perfect individuals for this. Are there any other comments for that? If not, roll call, please.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes on both.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes on both.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes on both.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes on both.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick.
Yes on all.
That's 9 yes, 0 no.
Okay, item 10B is just listed as parliamentary procedure and board rules. What I'm proposing here is that we have a work session on this. The two dates that would work well would be May 13th or May 25th. If there are any comments on those dates, we'll do a full-blown work session and look at everything, and then either make some decisions where to go from there, or accept them, but at least get them out and talk about them. So May 13th or 25th. Does any Mark, did either of those dates, was one preferable to the other?
Let me bring up the calendar really quick. I was looking at it earlier, not really. May 13th, you have a Community Development and Transportation Committee meeting. And then the 18th is your Ways and Means Committee meeting.
25th.
Yeah, it was the 25th that we.
Full board.
Full board.
Full board.
Well, maybe community development, it's just community development and transportation on that date.
That's the
Yes.
13th, yes.
So the 13th would probably work better.
Right.
It's only a committee meeting, so we'd have more time.
Okay.
And it's sooner.
Why
The sooner the better.
don't you go ahead and schedule that for the 13th for an hour? And if we need more time, we'll do another one.
We'll do that. So May 13th, starting at 3 p.m.
Okay, so to that person from the public that asked about that, there's your answer. Are there any liaison reports from any of your other assignments as commissioners? Anybody like to say anything? Okay, I would, as I'm the liaison to the district library. In your commission districts, if your library has not been remodeled yet, it's being planned and should be done this year. And we're opening, I believe it was in Eggleston, we're opening a branch, and I didn't bring all that information with me, but we're adding another branch in one of the schools. And if you would just take a look at your library, I think you'll be surprised how they're looking like brand new libraries again. So
Chairman Skolnick, I'd like to add to that. Muskegon Township just opened a branch of the library in the little strip mall by Mr. B's, right next door to Mr. B's restaurant.
correct. Did you see the new sign that we just put up?
Yes, did not have your name on it.
No, it did not have my name.
But it's a very nice library, and the guy who's running it spoke at the township meeting last night. He's very, very proud of it. Everybody should stop and see it.
Okay. So you can get an omelet and a book with one stop.
That's true, and you can eat your breakfast and read at the same time.
Okay. All right. So we'll move on to the administrator's report. Mark?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. On number A, there's a little explanation going on here. I put that on there as a placeholder because I knew there was a seniors activity committee meeting today, and they didn't meet, and they come back with a recommendation. And the reason this is important, because if you look down on under 12A, we tabled this decision of whether or not to give them a 3-year contract based on this other allocation of funds. So I'm going to turn this over to Kathy and any commissioner that attended that meeting today to discuss what they are recommending to the full board at this time pertaining to the allocation amount. Kathy?
Thank you. Yes, so the Senior Activities Committee met and they reviewed both the grants administrator after the RFP as well as the allocation, the annual allocation proposal. They unanimously approved a recommendation that that
There's
the county board, what's that wording? So Mark, I sent it all to you. I don't have it in front of me to read.
And after all that crap is done, we have to go into closed session.
Whoops.
We hear you. Whoever's talking.
Tim.
So they're looking for a combined contract that includes the annual allocation for in-home support and services, as well as the grants administration. And what I did is I took the previously approved contract that expired September 30th. I added the verbiage to include the in-home care support and services. I spoke with Pam Curtis last week, and she agreed to a up to percentage amount instead of a granted dollar amount. This is more in line with the municipal allocations. We have an up to 25%. For the senior resources, who is also the area aging on aging service provider, the recommendation was up to 15%. This would equate to right now, based on the projected tax dollars, $351,000. Last year, this board and the Senior Activities Committee approved $380,000. So this is a small decline, but Pam Curtis was in favor because she said if the tax dollars went up, that would, with a percentage, that could mean that there's more needs and that amount could go up. But then if it goes down, then they would share in that decrease as well.
Okay.
So we emailed this afternoon this document from Director Moore. It's in front of you. If you want time to review it, that's fine. But Kathy Tharp has brought up the changes, and they're highlighted in blue, and is what you also see in your email.
Thank you. And I'll go through the changes highlighted in blue, Kathy. So just, the first change was the title of the contract agreement itself, and that to include the in-home services and coordination. The just a little grammatical. We changed in the RFP grants administration language. We changed from monitor to oversee. So I changed it in the agreement as well. We could keep going. Everything else in black and white is what the previous agreement was. This one is important. This is the one paragraph under services that was added, and that includes the, this was added to reflect the in-home care support and services. So this whole agreement is the grants administrator agreement plus this component of in-home support and services. Continue, please. I know the next big one is the dollar amounts. Right there. So this, everything in blue, all of this wasn't added. It's just the whole dollar amount. So the 8.5% is the normal percentage, or is the same percentage as previous years. It's up to 8.5%, similar to the up to with the municipalities. If they actually don't use up to that amount, we do not pay or reimburse. But if they use more, then we only reimburse up to the 8.5%. That is the same contract language and the same rate for grants administration services as previously. What's new is the up to 15% for the in-home care support services. And it's the same if they don't use all those dollars. Senior millage funding is funding of last resort. If they don't use all those dollars, then they are not reimbursed that amount. So for example, last year, they were approved for $380,000 due to COVID and possibly some other reasons. They did not utilize that full amount, and so they were not reimbursed that amount. And I believe, oh, this one is important too. The effective date and duration of the contract. Last month, we were considering a 3-year effective date because the previous contract was a 3-year. It was discussed and a motion was made and included with the Senior Activities Committee recommendation to extend that to 4 years to cover the balance of the tax period. So the tax levy goes through, the last collection for the tax levy is December 2023, but the operational period of those dollars will go through September 30th of 2024. So the Senior Activities Committee did recommend that the contract, instead of a 3-year, be a 4-year contract to cover the whole millage period. And I believe that's it, besides some of the name changes.
So,
Mr. Chair?
questions, yes.
Yeah, Mark. First of all, I'd like to commend Kathy on just a brilliant resolution to this issue. I think the combined contract is a great idea. The amounts are appropriate. And I'd just like to point out to my fellow commissioners that in-home care, Senior Resources is the only provider for this service. And the other thing is that in-home care saves the state and our medical, Medicaid, Medicare, a lot of dollars because it avoids people going to nursing homes. It's in-home care is a lot less expensive, and they are the experts. So this is, I think, a brilliant resolution to the concerns. Thank you.
I also have a comment if I could. I have to say I don't agree with Marcia, only because Senior Resources was supposed to administer the grant. When they start taking funds out of the grant for themselves, they eliminate people who might want to come in and do that job for the county. And if you give them a grant for 4 years, nobody's ever even going to get a chance to come in and bid to do it because somebody's already doing it. So we're eliminating people who might have had to give up their jobs with in-home care during COVID, even going back to work or starting their business back up. And I don't think the administrator of the grant, who's the one who evaluates all the people that come in and put in bids to do the different things, should take funds out of that pool. And if they do, I think they should bid it out like everybody does every year. And if they're the low bid, they get it. If they're not and somebody else is, we should give it to the other person. I just think this is a terrible conflict of interest. Not that I don't think that's a very needed service. I just think it's a really bad conflict of interest with taxpayer money.
Echo what Commissioner Hughes said, exactly.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I just had a question for Kathy. You mentioned that they were allocated, I believe it was 380,000, but you said some of those funds were not used. Can you tell me what that amount amounted to, or how much less was that?
I can. Yes, and let me just grab that. Yes, so look at this. The last year they used 266,938. Again, it's really similar to a lot of the other grantees, awardees who utilized their dollars due to the limitations of COVID.
I have a question. I don't know if I'm addressing the chair or
Yeah,
the
no,
administrator.
Go ahead. Go
All
ahead.
right, thank you. So I'm curious if this service has been provided in the past, or if we allowed, or if there were any other bidders for this in-home care.
No.
Why is nobody bidding it? Maybe Kathy could, is it because it's something we've been doing, or we didn't send out an RFP for it? Why is nobody providing or bidding on this service?
So in-home in-home care, the support and services, senior resources, actually receives federal and state dollars, and they contract with local providers. They are private companies. Our tax dollars cannot go to a private organization. So it has to be a nonprofit. So Senior Resources right now receives the federal and state dollars. They contract with private organizations to go into the homes. The service that they provide above and beyond is that assessment of the residents' need and, you know, how much that goes. They also oversee and review the private companies that they hire to go into the homes. So this service is being provided by Senior Resources with federal and state dollars. And in some instances, there are co-pays. But there are, with the baby booming population, there is more demand than available funding, especially for Muskegon County residents.
Okay. Anyone else? Kathy?
Just add, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Marcia.
Yes, having served on the Senior Activities Committee for 3 years now, or in my 3rd year, there are no other providers in the county that do this. Senior Resources is the only provider. So had we opened it up, I doubt we'd get any takers, because they've been doing it for years, and they're the only ones. And it was opened up before nobody else applied. I mean, it was before the first couple of years of the grant.
Right, Marcia, thank you.
So Commissioner, you have 2 options here. One is to make a motion to accept what Kathy presented, or wait until unfinished business 12A. You have to bring that off the table, vote on it, and then you'd have to make amendments to what Kathy Moore recommended.
Can I just clarify and correct the statement? I believe, if I remember correctly, there is another in-home care service in Muskegon, Life Circles. I think I just heard someone said Senior Resources is the only provider, and there is another provider, Life Circles.
Life Circles is a part of, they're all together. It's my understanding.
So I think the confusion is the Senior Resources is the coordinator of these in-home care services. So there are a lot of providers and companies that go into the homes, including sole proprietorship, partnerships, and for-profits. Senior Resources collectively assess all of those providers and qualify them, and then pay those companies as they go into the home. So Senior Resources and their staff, they are not the ones that are going into the home providing the direct service. They are the organization that's doing the care coordination, which means they would go in, they would basically provide an assessment and a case management plan for an individual. And in some instances, they could say that this individual needs help with bathing, they need help with cleaning. They may assess that they need, this twice a week or every day. And I see that Carla Bedden raised her hand, and she is actually more qualified and familiar with this than I am. So she
at this point, Carla has more information than we do. Carla, are you on?
I am on, yes. So just to clarify that the role of Senior Resources, so there are area agencies on aging called AAAs throughout, designated for each county in the state of Michigan. And we do cover the 3 different counties in this area. And as such, we play a unique role in that we can funnel state and federal and county funds directly to for-profit in-home care providers. So it's a unique setup. There isn't anyone else who really can do this. So we're just funneling these funds and putting them right into the hands of the for-profit in-home care provider agencies that exist in our community now. And so that's what those funds do. And it's not something really that another organization could just step up and do. It's just because of how we are designated by the government to be able to do that. And then the only separate piece of that is that we do provide a human, a supports coordinator, to go into people's homes to take a look and assess, does this person need care? Once it's assessed, this person definitely needs bathing or house cleaning or cooking, then that business then is given to local in-home care companies. So that's how the money is funneled directly through us without us touching the money, except for the human, the support coordinator that we do send in to assess if that care is needed and if that care is actually occurring.
Carla,
Mr. Chair.
is there a way that you could tell us, caller, are these Muskegon County companies that are contracted with these dollars or outside of the county?
So they're all local companies. Now, some of them are, like, for instance, an Elders Helper. They're a nationwide company with local offices. But most of them are local companies. And there's dozens of them, Alliance, et cetera, in-home care companies that are working to provide caregivers to these individuals in their homes. Yes.
Charles Nash, did you want to make a comment?
I wanted to make a comment. I think, we've gone through this a few times, and I wanted to make certain that we were definitely with what is considered pretty much a sole provider. So I'm okay with the possibility of putting together this dual contract. I guess my only concern is that, we're just getting this, and I have a little pause because if they were allocated 380,000, but they only used 260, there's a big difference, and I'd like to see how that compares to other previous years to make sure we're doing that, because I'd hate to lock up dollars that could be used in other programs that could help, seniors in other ways. So that's my only reservation. I would really hope that we could wait and do this at the next meeting, just so we could get those questions answered. Because I was just getting this material right before the meeting and didn't really have a chance to go through it. But that's my concern, is that allocation.
It's not my turn. I'd be happy to answer that if I'd be invited to answer that.
Wait, Carla, before you can continue, how many vendors? Now, you're not providing these services. You're just managing the services, contracting with various vendors. How many vendors are there? Do you know? There's a lot, aren't there?
Yes, there are dozens. It's up to 100 different vendors.
Okay.
Maybe 50 or more.
And you're also overseeing that the work, whatever you're contracting for, gets done, and it's done correctly, and your clients are happy.
Yeah, because the funding is funneled through us, then our supports coordinator is involved in assessing to ensure, is that home still safe, and is that person receiving adequate care? Yes.
Okay. Now, what did you want to say?
To Charles's question, I have to get my train of thought back. Oh, about why were we spending a little bit less, and what is that funding going to be well used? First of all, the wording.
That wasn't my question.
Oh.
My question was,
yep.
I wanted to know how much was spent in the previous years, not including just the last year, to understand how much is being allocated or how much is actually being used each year. Because we're setting these high bars, but we're not reaching them. And I think COVID has really impacted that. But I'd like to see what those numbers are for the previous years. That's all I was looking for.
Oh, yeah, sure. And we can give you those numbers. Those numbers were closer to the full amount, which is closer to the 370 or 380,000 each year. Now, this past year, one of the reasons it was lower was because we didn't know if we were going to get this contract or not. And this involves human lives. And so more than 100 individuals would stop receiving care all of a sudden if the Board of Commissioners decided to not approve this. And we didn't want that to happen so suddenly. So we didn't add new people in the last 6 months or so, because we wanted to ensure that people weren't suddenly cut off from the individual who's coming in and helping them with bathing or cooking. So that's the reason that we had a little lower usage in the past 6 months to a year.
Mr. Chair, I do have another comment too.
Yes, Mrs. Hughes.
You know, this makes me have more concerns that we have 100 different vendors out there that are willing to do this, and we're not even going to get bids from them, that we're letting Senior Resources just hire them, not even get bids from them. And then we're committing ourselves to 4 years of this. I really have some concerns about this. I just can't go for it. I would make a motion to table this until we have some more information back. I agree with Charles on that, if I have support to table.
But there's not a motion yet, and there's already tabled, so it'd be
Okay.
best to table that again. under
All right,
old
thank you.
business.
Yeah, we did table that.
I'd like to respond to Mrs. Hughes' comments. There may be 100 vendors, but they're not. It could be physical therapy, occupational therapy, respiratory therapy. It could be any one of, cleaning, bathing. I don't know what all, but there'd be 100 vendors not qualified to monitor this whole program with the size of staff they do. I'm just looking from the standpoint of efficiency and somebody who's qualified to do it. I'm not saying somebody else couldn't do it, but the infrastructure is already there, and that agency has been there since the 70s.
And I agree. And I really think a lot of Senior Resources. I just don't think they should be administering the grants and hiring the people to do it without going through a separate channel. I think you're giving them twice the money to handle, and now you want to do it for 4 years. I just am so against that. I can't tell you.
Okay. All right, so this motion is currently, Mark, correct me, this is tabled right now. It had a date certain of today, so what do we have to do here?
We'll move on to B, and we'll address it under 12A, whether you want to amend 12A after you bring it off the table, or if you want to table it again. So right now, I'll go ahead and go into 11B if that's okay with you.
Yes, it is. Go ahead, Mark.
So this is a reminder to the commissioners who have signed up. The virtual conference, MAC conference, is next week, starting on April 27th and through the 29th. You should have received an email about which seminars or sessions that you'll be setting in on. So take a look at that. If you haven't got that email yet, let Kathy Tharp know. That ends my report. Thank you.
Okay, well, item, we're gonna have to vote on something here. Item 12A was tabled until today. Susie, do you want to make a motion to table it further?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to table it further until we have some more of our questions answered. I'd like to know if they could, I'll just make a motion to table and we can discuss it later.
Well,
we had a date. We
need a date. Mark, what's the next full board meeting? Was it May 8th or something like that?
Yeah, I'm looking here.
I'll make a motion to table it to the next full board.
11.
Okay, the motion is to table it until the next full board meeting, and we'll put the right date in. Is that your motion, Susie?
Yes, it is.
Okay, is there support for that?
Melinda seconded.
Okay. So HS 21/04 is the motion is to table it until the next full board meeting.
Mr. Chair, I have a comment before we
Yes,
vote on
Mr.
the table.
Yes,
So this is a fairly complicated issue that is going to take a lot of dialogue. We're all coming at it from different concerns. I hate to talk about another work session, but I am thinking that maybe there's more information and more discussion than what we'll probably want to do in a full board. I'm just going to leave it on that table up there if somebody wants to schedule that or make that
Okay.
motion. But
Let me, Mark and I will look at that. Maybe you're right. It is complicated. It's a lot of money, and there may be some preconceived notions that are, right or wrong, but let's figure out what's going on here and try to do the best thing. So that motion then to table it until the next full board meeting. Linda, could we have a roll call on that, please?
Commissioner Pago,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
yes,
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
9 yes.
Okay, the next item was another one that was postponed until today, was approving the 2021 equals.
I'll make a motion to
evaluation.
approve that, to approve the,
Second.
All right, we have a motion. Is there support?
Support.
All right, Hughes made the motion. I think Hovey Wright supported it. Is there any other discussion on this? Okay, if not, Linda, roll call, please.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago,
No.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
yes.
Commissioner Laring,
yes.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no.
Okay, thank you, Linda. All right, next item is 13, new business. Does anyone have any new business? All right, next is item 14, public comment. Anyone from the public that would like to make a comment pretty much on anything? All right, we have hands up. Michelle Hazekamp, you have 2 minutes, and you need to unmute, Michelle. There you go.
Okay, thank you. This is Michelle Hazekamp. I'm in Sullivan Township. I'm going to bring up the subject of the vaccine passport. I oppose the vaccine passport coming to Muskegon County. It would be a violation of our constitutional rights, HIPAA laws, and our medical freedoms. The greatest thing about our country is that we have the freedoms given to us by God, the same freedoms that allow us to make our own decisions when it comes to our health and healthcare choices, because only we as individuals know what is best for ourselves and our family. The government has no clue what is best for me, my spouse, and my children, especially when it concerns our health. I stand for the freedom to choose and to continue to choose what I think is best for me and my family. I believe everyone should have those choices. And if a vaccine passport becomes mandated here, it will have an impact on every single person in this community, whether they have a passport or not. For instance, think about those who cannot get a vaccine due to medical reasons. They will be segregated from society for something they have no control over. How will this impact other family members, especially if it is a child who has siblings with a passport or a spouse? How will they do family activities together? This is not what our forefathers fought for. The Constitution declares that we have the right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness given to us by God. It does not state that we must earn them first by participating in a system that only allows freedom to individuals who are willing to submit to demands that are not only dangerous but unjustified. We are not Nazi Germany, and before anyone ever proposes a vaccine passport in this committee, they need to refresh their history knowledge and educate themselves on how Hitler took over Germany and the Jewish people.
Okay, James Taylor. Mr. Taylor, you're up.
Mr. Taylor does not have a microphone connected.
Oh, okay. Mr. Taylor, I don't know if you can hear me, but if you can get a microphone or call in again, I'll call on you. Carrie Knight. Carrie, you're gonna have to, there you go.
Yeah, my name is Carrie Friedrich Krakofer. That was my original name. Now my name is Carrie Gabriel Knight. I am first generation born American. My parents are from Austria, a socialist country. And I'm going to warn you all, this is not red, blue, green, white, yellow, I don't care. But our country is under attack by a socialistic, communistic regime. The people here in Muskegon need to realize that what socialism really is. Socialism is about being controlled, being told what to make, how much to make, and where to make it at. If you're a farmer, you'll be told you can only make so much corn. You own 100 acres, you will be told you can only make 50 acres because that's what's required and no more, no less. If you make more than that, you will be penalized. You could even be arrested. You could be put into prison. If you speak against the government, you will be arrested. Socialism is an absolute. The next step is communism. The only difference between the two is socialist countries still have the local police. A communist country has military police. If you defund the police, we lose our country. We need our legal forces. We need the people here to protect us. Please, people, wake up. This is about our country. This is about our way of life. This is what we need to have. We are not communists. We are a republic. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. Mary Valentine, please. Mary, you have to unmute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, just a couple comments. HIPAA does not apply to vaccine requirements. Just to clarify what we're talking about here and to clear up any misinformation, what we need to do is to get over this deadly virus that is killing people in our community. And nobody is talking about instituting socialism or communism or any such thing. And no one has even proposed a vaccine passport as far as I know. So I'm not sure what this is all about, but just wanted to give a little accurate information and just something to think about. We're trying to get over this virus that has killed like at least over 500,000 people in our country. And maybe some business someplace would want to keep their patrons safe when they come in. And that might be their right too. This is just some things that need to be talked about instead of giving this misinformation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Valentine. Margot Haynes. You have to unmute, Margot.
Am I unmuted now?
Yes, you're fine. Go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify something about the senior resources contract and the misunderstanding that seems to exist on the commission. The best way to overcome that might be to invite Peb Curtis to your work session and have her answer questions about how they operate. As I understand, they're the only institution who bid on administering the oversight and selection of grantees from the senior millage. And it wasn't really directly in their wheelhouse, but they agreed to do it because nobody else was interested. And I would like to positively acknowledge the service that they have provided so far, and to encourage you to work directly with her so that you're not operating on incorrect assumptions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Margot. Karen Palmer, are you there? There you go. Go ahead, Karen, please.
Thank you. I'm going to address the same subject I addressed earlier, but just from a different perspective. I was concerned about it not getting on the agenda. Now, my concern is that we've asked now 3 times. I have asked for the county clerk to give us an answer regarding whether Zuckerberg money was used in Muskegon County for the November 2020 election, and if so, how it was used. I don't see an answer from her. I've asked for it 3 times now. If she's not getting it because she's not paying attention to the board meeting and she's not paying attention to the public comments, and if my public comments are not being placed in the meeting minutes in full, I don't know how I can get that to her, but we need to know the answer to that question. I think it's really important about our elections, whether there was money that was used illegally here or not. So I'm asking once more, and if she's not going to answer the public request for things like this, perhaps our commission needs to take an extra step and take that upon themselves to take that action. With regards to the vaccine passport, what the public is doing is asking the commission to perhaps commit to a resolution to ban or prevent a vaccine passport from coming to our community. We're very concerned about that. I think it's a reasonable request. I don't think it's unusual. It's happening in other places, and it's a concern here. So I agree with that request. Thank you for my time, and thank you for yours.
James Taylor. Mr. Taylor, you're up.
Mr. Taylor does not have a microphone connected.
Okay. Sandra Cross. Sandra, you have to unmute. Okay.
Okay, hello. This is Sandra Cross, and I'd like to thank each of you for your service to the community. I would like to ask you to be proactive and ban the vaccine passport in Muskegon County. And let me tell you why. If you take a serious look at this, I'm sure that you'll agree that it's just a matter of time before we will have to deal with it here. We want Muskegon to be seen for what it really is, a wonderful lakeshore community that is thriving without discrimination, but with equity, diversity, and inclusion. A ban on vaccine passports would ensure that all would be treated equally and fairly. I absolutely love Muskegon. My heart is here. And I see Muskegon County businesses, schools, theaters, the Frauenthal, the Block, Carmen's, the Station, Boar's Belly, MCC, etc., welcoming all people, regardless of their personal health choices. Some say that this is not a county issue. I disagree. In reality, it really is a county issue. The county's goals of inclusion, diversity, and equity will not be taken seriously if many are discriminated against because of our own personal health choices. Thank you so much.
Okay, Donald Munski, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Donald Munski, and I live at 1078 Brookway Court in Norton Shores. I just wanted to address a couple of the commentators about the, one was the request for the clerk to provide information about some funding issue. And I would recommend that they submit a FOIA request to the clerk. Then regarding the vaccine passport question, the resolution, I want to remind everyone, has no enforcement provisions. So I think that some people may think that it has the rule of law, but it does not, is my understanding. It reflects only the desire of the board of commissioners. It does not have any enforcement provision. So if the federal government came up with a vaccine passport, or the state government came up with a vaccine passport, the county commission couldn't prohibit the use of that passport, because the county has to be submissive to the federal government and the state government. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Munski. Carol Voigt. Carol, there you go.
Yes, here we go. Yes, I would like to thank the commission for a very informative meeting today. And I'd like to speak of about the vaccine passport. I don't think it's any of the county's business to have it, because you wouldn't be able to enforce it. But I do see a sort of a passport as something that you would need to get enrolled in schools. They already have that. You can't bring your children to enroll in public school unless they're vaccinated for smallpox and diphtheria and things like that. And why not COVID too? Why would you prohibit the people that take, that run the airlines to not have a passport, because they didn't want people in those closed areas that weren't vaccinated? So I think it's going to come about, but I don't think that it's something that a county should be trying to enforce. We don't have our commission doesn't have anything to do with businesses saying no shirt, no shoes, no service. And the county commissioners don't have a ban on that. So I think that it's definitely something that we really probably have no business doing. And HIPAA, by the way, doesn't have anything to do with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Andy Davies.
Hi, my name is Davina Davies, and I am a resident of Norton Shores, and I'm speaking today to ask you to pass a resolution to ban the vaccine passports in Muskegon County. They are discriminatory, and they strip Muskegon County residents of freedoms that are already granted in and protected by the Constitution. If you think back over this past year with the mask mandates, when they were first introduced, it was widely proclaimed that there were going to be medical exemptions for those who could not tolerate them, and that did not end up being the case. People I know and love dearly with valid exemptions have been forced to explain their private medical histories to total strangers, and then they've still been denied access to public places of business and services, some of which they paid for with their own tax dollars. This is discrimination, this is wrong, and it must stop. Vaccine passports are the next stop on the road to taking away our medical freedoms of choice. Protecting medical freedom is bigger than your own personal views on the vaccines. As an elected official, you have a duty to protect and defend the fundamental rights and freedoms of the citizens that you represent. No citizen of a free country should have to endure discrimination for their private medical health. With everything that's happened over the past year in our nation and in our state, we keep hearing repeated calls from our leaders for unity. By allowing vaccine passports in any form, you will fundamentally divide our society into those who have gotten vaccines and those who have not, punishing and discriminating against those who are not able or choose not to get them. Please do your duty to the citizens of Muskegon County by protecting our freedom of medical choice, and do not allow vaccine passports in any form. Thanks so much for your time today.
Rich, looks like Rich Mapes. Rich, you're gonna have to unmute. You have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Richard Mapes, and I really also wanted to encourage you to pass a resolution banning vaccine passports. They're very discriminatory for those people who cannot get them, and for those who choose not to get them. It would be that they would be cast from society and would really be treated less than other people. A real life example recently occurred when people were being evacuated from a Caribbean island from a volcano, that the people who did not have vaccines were left on the island and were not taken to safety, and were left on their own for the risk of their own life. If that's not a severe case of extreme discrimination because of being vaccinated or not, is terrible. And you might think it might not come here into the United States, but even the White House press secretary, Jan Psaki, however you pronounce her name, she had said that the administration expects the private sector to drive a determination or development of a vaccine passport, or whatever you want to call it. So many businesses are, such as airlines and bars and music venues, are already considering requiring them for entry. And Walmart itself has even joined an international effort to provide vaccine credentials that are backed by other major companies. The people of Muskegon County will be discriminated against if vaccine passports are allowed. Secondly, you've taken an oath to support the Constitution, and the Constitution does not limit the people, but rather it does limit the government. And the fact that it's the government to protect, it's the government's job to protect all the rights of the people. And I think it's your duty to—
Mr. Mapes, your time is up. I'm sorry. Ann Whiteford. Ann, you have to unmute.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Ann Whiteford. I'm a resident of Muskegon County, and I'm here to urge you all to protect the residents of this county from this vaccine passport. As you probably know, Israel recently implemented a form of this in their own country, and sadly, their reports from some of their citizens is that it has actually divided their people into two classes: those that have a measure of freedom in their normal life and those who do not, who are heavily restricted. And as one of our wise men of this country once said, to paraphrase him, no country can long endure with half free and half restricted. That's really, really important. A person's personal health decisions are their own, and they've always been so in this country. So I am asking this county to respect that. And please do not lay this burden on the people of this county. Thank you so much.
Okay, Orville Crane. Orville, you have to unmute, please.
Bob, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I heard someone a few minutes ago say that Walmart, and they had a list of businesses that were considering instituting a passport situation. So don't we harm the people of Muskegon County if we say they can't have passports, which would mean any business that requires a passport, no one in Muskegon County could go in there? That's all I want to say.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Crane. Dirk Chilco. Dirk, unmute. You got the floor.
Thank you, Commissioner. First of all, I'd like to say public comments when requested by a resident of Muskegon. I am from Laketon Township, by the way, a resident. When somebody makes a motion to have public comments made available in the minutes, you should absolutely honor that request. I'm requesting my Commissioner Douglas Brown to make a motion to add comments to the minutes when requested by residents. I'm also requesting that a resolution to prevent the use of any type of passport with any kind of medical information on it, whether it's a vaccine or this COVID mRNA-1, which is only authorized by emergency use, and it is not authorized under the FDA for any other for a vaccine. It's only authorized under emergency use. I would also like to see the commissioners come up with the lessons learned about how Muskegon County has handled the pandemic, what we've done well, what we haven't done so well on it. And lastly, I would like to see the board discussion. I'm sorry, lost my train of thought. I'll yield my time. Thank you very much.
Okay, Josie James. Josie, you have to unmute, please.
Hello, everybody. I'm Josie James. I live at 2208 Harrison Avenue. You know, I'm always confused when I hear people discussing constitutional rights. You know, there's no way that you can have 9 billion people on this earth and absolute rights. You know, that just doesn't work. The Constitution does give us rights, but there's that other aspect of people living together where you have to have enough heart to look out for everyone else too. So picture this, you got somebody who doesn't want to wear a mask, they don't want to be vaccinated, and they don't want anybody else to know it. So therefore, all the rest of us folks out there have to somehow navigate, you know, this space, you know, and in fact, we're probably compromising one of our absolute rights, and that's the right to life. I would really like for everyone to consider that constitutional rights are not absolute. Everybody's heard the story about yelling fire in the movie theater, so you don't have freedom of speech. When I went to school as a kid, we had shot records. We weren't able to go to school unless we had a polio shot because we didn't want other kids to grow up crippled. So I'm just asking all these folks who are anti-passport to extend some humanity to everybody else and understand that sometimes you have to sacrifice for other people or you have to sacrifice for the good of everyone. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Josie. Kip Smith, please.
Mr. Chair, could we have the residents please address the board instead of our comments?
Wait, I'm sorry, say that again, Mr. Lawrence.
The public comment, the public is supposed to address the board, not other public comment.
Okay. Kip Smith, you unmute, you're on.
Hi, I'm Kip Smith. I'm over on Arthur. I only caught the last half of the meeting, and I'm very happy to see that it sounded like there's the conversation and exploration, and that was really cool. Don Munsky, can you hear me okay? Oh, did I freeze up?
No, we can hear you, Kip.
Okay. Don Munsky took the words right out of my mouth on the FOIA request instead of making demands for documents from our clerk. The FOIA is exactly correct.
Kip, we can't hear you. Okay, I'm afraid we've lost him. If he comes back, I'll call on him again. Jason Hall. Jason, you have to, there you go.
Thank you. I've got several things. I'll try to cram them into my 2 minutes. Jason Hall, Moreland Township, Muskegon, Michigan. I've heard a lot of questions and comments regarding a COVID passport. A lot of different ideas on yes, no, good, bad. This would be a question that maybe one of you can bring up to Ms. Moore in regards to the HIPAA regulations. Some people are saying it's against, some people say it doesn't abide by it. I believe that she would be able to answer that question and give you a definite answer. I understand you're going into closed session regarding a lawsuit regarding our county treasurer. I see county treasurers on the call today. Per the Election Law Act of 116 of 1954, per code 168204, the treasurer, who is one of the named individuals in section 168.200 that is referenced in 168.204, is required to or shall give bond in the amount and manner prescribed by law, and to be filed with the county clerk on the when he is elected. I do understand that the county has a blanket bond for employees and volunteers, but per the election law, there are several individuals that are elected in our county who are supposed to hold their own bond per election law with the state of Michigan for the people. So if there is a wrongdoing, they are responsible for that bond, not the people. And I will yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next callers that are up, I only have phone numbers. So the first one, the last 4 digits of your phone number are 7200. Okay, yeah, there is 7200.
Yeah,
okay, I need your name and
Angela DeLing.
I'm sorry, say again.
My name is Angela DeLing, 2839 Leelanau Drive, in Plainfield Township. I visit Muskegon very often, and yes, I want to address the issue of the vaccine passport. What we would like for you to do to be ahead of the curve. While no, the federal government has said it will not do the vaccine passport, they have encouraged even businesses to do it. And we would like for you to, even if it's not legally binding, to show your residents and businesses where you stand, and you know that you're there for them on this issue. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much. The next person is a caller. The last 4 digits are 7292. If that's your phone number, go ahead and speak.
Yes.
I need
Thank you.
your name and location.
Yes, Tammy Barnhart, Muskegon County resident. I would like to know about the closed session. I know it's Jason McCarthy, but I can't find anything on it. And I realize you can't tell a lot of things about it, but could you at least tell what is out there publicly, what this is regarding? Why is he suing the county? So I'd like to know that, please. And I'd like to also ask that somebody make a motion to open up the county building again. To keep it closed is ridiculous with what's going on. I'd also like to express my concern about the vaccine passport. You know, some of you are calling it misinformation or fake news, and that's just plain ignorance, because it's already happening, no matter what you call it, potato, because colleges are already requesting proof before a student can return to class, that they have to prove that. And if whatever you call it, it's still a vaccine passport. If you call it that, you call it something else. So it is happening. Even our local restaurants are asking for a name and a telephone number in order to go in and eat. I don't think one person in the party gave the correct name or telephone number. It's just ridiculous. All this tracking and stuff. So please get a resolution for the vaccine passport and support that we do not need that or want that. And it would just show to our state and show to the rest of the United States, we won't stand for that communist crap. So I hope you do that. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
All right, the next phone caller, the last 4 digits are 3323. So 3323, unmute, there you go.
Thank you for hearing my comments. My name is Michelle Mixa. I'm a resident of Muskegon County and a former public school teacher. I'd like to take a moment to clear up some misinformation from last week. Our group consists of mothers and fathers, young adults, veterans, medical staff, and everyday people from Muskegon County. We also have the support of people who live outside of Muskegon, but who own property, work, summer, go to the beach, visit friends and family, or a whole host of other reasons that they are concerned about the vaccine passports here. Further, none of us were handed scripts, as was stated last week. I teach our members how to put their thoughts on paper prior to these meetings so that they say everything they want to in the scant 2 minutes we have to share our concerns. Each of us, you here reading, wrote every word we are speaking. To be clear, this is not a movement about the vaccine. This movement is against limiting the ability of individuals to freely participate in society and commerce via a vaccine passport credential. Vaccine passports are digital documentation that is scanned or shown to verify vaccine status of individuals. They are used to verify vaccine status prior to entering places such as sporting events, concerts, gyms, and other places. It boils down to, show me your papers or you do not get to participate in society, our culture, or commerce freely. I'm calling to ask you to pass a resolution for banning the vaccine passport from all public spaces, businesses, government buildings, and places of employment in Muskegon County. This is an issue that affects all, every political affiliation, every race, religion, gender, sexual orientation. Every person will be affected in some way or another if we allow this medical apartheid to take hold here. That's what they're calling it in Israel, medical apartheid. As stated in weeks prior, there are many people in our society for whom vaccines are not safe, those who are hesitant due to the experimental status and would like to wait until more data is available, or simply choose not to vaccinate. Refusing the vaccine is not choosing to be left behind in our society. Refusing the vaccine is not choosing to be left behind in our society. Send a message that you are behind the people of Muskegon. Thank you.
Okay, the next one, the last four digits of your phone number are 6711. You have the floor. Please unmute.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Toby Hildebrand, resident of Sullivan Township, Muskegon County. I have a couple of things to address. I too support the need to put public comments into the minutes if it is requested. And I also support what the last commentator just said, that we are not reading off of a script that we are provided. These are words that we write down because they are genuine concern to us, as mine are tonight. As I stated during public comment at the last meeting, I urge you all to take the lead and pass a resolution to say vaccine passports have no place in Muskegon County. Even if you cannot legally uphold those as commented, you're going to set a precedence. Lansing is watching you. Governor Whitmer is watching everything. And Muskegon County could take the lead and give the courage to other counties to follow that lead and send the message back to her loud and clear that we're not interested in this in Michigan as a whole. I'm very confused why those who are pro-vaccine, pro-mask are so concerned about those of us who are not. If they have so much confidence in those two items, they shouldn't worry about what we're doing. Those should be protecting them to the fullest extent if they believe in them, and they are free to do that if they wish, as we should be free to not do that if we wish. What this passport is doing is just threatening to dissolve us into a Chinese-style social credit system. And for those of you who it doesn't sound like some of the callers are very up on their history knowledge, but those of you that are easily know that they have a social reward system for good and bad things. And obesity, as we can both agree, or all agree, is arguably a far greater public health problem than COVID-19. So for instance, if...
Okay, the next caller, the last four digits are 6690. If your phone number ends in 6690, unmute and you have the floor. And to unmute, if you're on a phone, is *6.
Okay, thank you. Hello, commissioners. My name is Audrey Rogers, and I would like to see the commission pass a resolution to put a ban on vaccine passports. Putting forth a resolution like this now will protect citizens from social, physical, and societal discrimination. It would be a pro-citizen decision. Waiting until a vaccine passport is on our doorstep will mean top-down government and special interest pressure will be more difficult to resist. So please be proactive on banning vaccine passports. Thanks.
Okay, Chris Kyla. Chris, unmute if you're there. There you go.
There you go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. This is Chris Kyla. I'm from Muskegon Township. I want to support Susie Hughes, Commissioner Hughes, with her comments about the contract. I thought that was a good decision. I'm concerned also about elections. The last election, there weren't enough inspectors and workers to get the voting done in a reasonable amount of time. And I know a few people that have tried to become inspectors recently or sign up for it, and they've been told that they have enough inspectors, for what they want to do. So I'm a little confused by that, and I didn't understand how they could turn people away. I think we should have extra ones, especially since COVID can sideline people at the last moment. I'm also repeating my request for the clerk to make some comment about the size of our voter rolls in this county, where we have upwards of 38,000 voter registrations that are probably ineligible. So I'd like her to be able to comment on what she's going to do, since it's a federal requirement to clean voter rolls. I don't think it's been done in this county for a very long period of time. So thank you very much. That's all I have for now.
Okay, thank you. I think that's it. Kip Smith has already had his spoken. So that's the end of.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Nash.
Kip got cut off. You were going to have him come back.
Oh, okay. Kip, are you there? I'm sorry. You're right. You got cut off about halfway through. If you're there, come on back on.
Hey, I'm here. Thanks.
Yeah.
And I was just gonna compare the resolution stuff to, like, today is 420. Okay, marijuana is legal in Muskegon County, but if you're working a federally funded job or under DOT regulation, you can't do it. And just like if big corporations, national corporations, or the federal government. So I hope each of these people are contacting their federal legislation, because that's where the angst should be directed. And I encourage them, contact the federal legislation, but it's not a county issue. And so that's, you're taken away from the county by doing that. The other thing on the demand that comments be put in the record, everyone has a right to submit written comments for the record. So don't demand that somebody else write your comments down. Write them yourself and submit them. And in fact, if you do that, then it's less likely to get twisted into something that you didn't really say. So all these people with the demands, do it for yourself. Request the FOIAs. Contact your federal legislatures where it matters. And God bless America, because damn it, we all have the right to speak. And I love that. And I love America, damn it. And I love Muskegon County, and thank you, commissioners.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Smith. All right, public comments over. Final board comments.
Bob, I have a final board comment, if
Okay.
possible.
Mrs. Hughes, go ahead.
First of all, I'd like to just remind our residents that this is a county board meeting and not a county clerk's meeting. And I would really recommend you contact the county clerk if you have questions for her. We don't have control over the county clerk. She is also an elected official. And I just want to remind people that we ask you to give your name and where you live, like your township or city. We don't ask for your address, because that typically will, now it's considered violating your personal rights to have your address given. So just your name and the location, if you're in Fruitport Township or Muskegon Township or even Muskegon County, would be enough for us. And that's all I have.
Okay, Marcia.
Yeah, this is what I'm going to say is partially an answer to some of the emails I received that I wasn't able to respond to. I too want to go back to normal living, where I can go to restaurants and dance and fly to see my grandkids and travel and play pickleball without masks and not constantly worry about getting or spreading COVID. All the qualified experts say that reducing spreading COVID-19, we need to wear masks, socially distance, get vaccinated, and wash our hands. It's been very frustrating to have to deal with these new variants, new restrictions, and we are all so tired of it. What has been so frustrating for me and my friends and neighbors is trying to understand why there are others, some on this commission, who refuse to do what is recommended by the qualified experts to reduce exposure and get our numbers down. Those who resist wearing masks, vaccines, and socially distancing are contributing significantly to failing our battle to get new COVID variant under control in Michigan and in Muskegon. And exceptions are made for medical and religious reasons for getting vaccines. In the Muskegon Chronicle on Monday, yesterday, the reason given for our Michigan surge is resistance by some to taking these precautions. And as you know, there's been an article, I think it was today or yesterday, about ER having to turn away patients, ER at Mercy Hospital. They are encouraging people to go home. And there's some really bad stories about that. We should be talking about our collective responsibility to do what we can, each one of us, to fight COVID, rather than asserting our rights to be irresponsible. Banning local emergencies and vaccine passports undermine our ability to succeed in beating this pandemic. And in my view, that is our county responsibility, to get our numbers down, to get control of the current surge that we are experiencing. Nothing else. And banning passports does not work in that, it does not help that situation at all. And just a note to my fellow commissioners, the reason that we are getting, that there is so much, so many emails and people speaking about this ban on social passports is because they have been notified that something is coming. Everybody else has not been. There's nothing on the agenda about this. And I do hope that Commissioner Pago, if she's going to introduce something, that we see it ahead of time. I have not seen it. We did vote one down last week, and 7-2. And so this is, we're getting bombarded. And I think the commissioners need to realize that this is a one-sided thing because she's the only one that knows what's happening and what's coming. So thank you. That's what I have to say.
Okay, we still have a closed session. I need a motion to go into closed session.
So move.
Motion by Nash. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Commissioner Hughes. Okay.
Do you want us to read that exactly as it says?
Well, wait a minute. We didn't vote. I need a
I
roll
know,
call
but
to
I
do
think
that.
corporate counsel would like us to read it
okay.
correctly.
All right, who made the motion?
Commissioner Hughes. Oh, I'm sorry, I did it.
You did it.
You
Okay.
did it.
I'll read it. I'll read it.
Can you read it? Okay.
I move that we enter into closed session to discuss with our attorney trial and or settlement strategy in the pending lawsuit Jason McCarthy versus Muskegon County and Tony Malatsiotis in his capacity as Muskegon County Treasurer, because discussion on the open record may have a detrimental financial effect on the litigation or settlement position of Muskegon County, and also to discuss material exempt from disclosure under attorney-client privilege, MCL 15.243 1G, pursuant to MCL 15.268H.
That's the motion. Linda, roll call to go into closed session.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Sears,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago. Yes. Chairman Skolnick.
Yes.
8 yes, 1 absent.
Okay, so I don't know who controls it, but let's go into a closed room.
Recording's on, we're live, you're ready to go.
Make a motion to go back into open session.
Second.
Bob, you're muted.
Yeah. Linda, are you still on the call? I hope.
Yes, sir.
Okay, if we could have a roll call on the vote to go back into open session, please.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
Commissioner Hubby Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Hubby Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes, yes. Chairman Skolnick,
Yes,
8 yes, 1 excused.
okay. So now we need a motion following our corporate counsel's recommendation.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to follow the attorney's recommendation regarding McCarthy versus Muskegon County and Tony Malazzi-Otis as pursuant to the discussion and the Raffaelli decision.
I
Second.
support that.
Okay. Is there
Sorry.
any?
Mr. Chair, I'm just going to suggest that Commissioner Nash add to that to settle the case of McCarthy versus Muskegon County and the treasurer within the parameters as discussed in closed session pursuant to Raffaelli.
Mr. Nash, are you fine with that?
I would amend that to what he just said.
Okay, I think we've discussed this. I think is there any other discussion? If not, I'm gonna.
I have a question.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I don't know if this is correct, Mr. Homier, probably. Do we need to add the verbiage on the avenue of the source of payment that I wanted to pursue to this motion, or how is that going to be handled?
No, I suspect that you can make a separate motion to submit that as a claim if you so desire.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Linda, roll call.
I'd like to make a comment.
Wait, I'm sorry, Zach, did you have a comment?
Yeah, so I am uncomfortable settling a case as the Muskegon County, making a decision for the treasurer, settling his case also, since he's a named defendant in this case. I'm uncomfortable settling in his behalf.
Okay. Well, let's do it. Linda, roll call, please.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
Commissioner Hubby Wright,
Marcia, you're muted.
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
No.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago,
No.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
six yes, 2 no, 1 excused.
Okay, can I ask who's excused at this point?
Commissioner Wilkins.
Okay. All right, is there, I don't have the agenda up in front of me anymore.
I'd like to make a motion that we pursue the payment of this lawsuit against Muskegon County and against Treasurer Tony Malazzi-Otis through the surety bond held by the county and also the bond that the treasurer is supposed to hold individually. Can I get a second, please?
Yes, I'll second that.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's going to have to be referred to Ways and Means.
Mr. Homier, can you clarify, please?
Well, yeah, I guess it depends on whether this is a substantive county matter. You know, I think submitting a claim pursuant to a bond, you know, I guess I'll leave that to the chair who ultimately has to decide whether it is a substantive county matter. I'm not sure that submitting a potential claim under any available insurance that the county may have is substantive, but I think that's for the board chair to decide.
Then I will accept Mr. Homier's opinion and I'll allow it. So there's a motion. Melinda, what exactly you want to submit a claim for this? Is that what you're saying?
That the funding source to pay this comes from the bonding of the treasurer from the county bond that is held as a blanket bond, and also from
I understand. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on that? I just assume get this over with tonight.
Mr. Chair, the county bond is already part of this issue. I think if it's regarding a personal bond, that's a different issue.
I disagree with that statement, Mr. Chair, if I may speak. He is named in the case as a defendant, so his bond is in play.
Well, yeah, I guess there will have to be a determination of whether it is or is not. So I don't have necessarily an issue of submitting a claim under any available insurance or bond that the county holds. And I think that is the nature of the motion.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so if the motion passes, then an attempt will be made to collect this from some other bond source or insurance besides the county's own insurance. So that's pretty simple, I think, and it makes sense. And then we'll find out if in fact there is coverage for this.
Thank you.
So I'll need a roll call vote, on this too, Linda.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Marcia, you muted.
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring, Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
8 yes, 1 excused.
Okay, so now I have a problem in that it's 6:54, and if we waited 6 minutes, we could set a new record for a
And
meeting.
make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support,
Is that a record tonight?
double support.
Okay, it's at the call of the chair. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You just representing taxpayer money.